Okay, and we're live.
Fantastic.
Nick Fraser. Fraser? Did I say that wrong?
Fraser.
Fraser. Just normal
Fraser. Fraser.
I went straight to the island.
You went straight to the American version of Fraser.
Oh.
Like you go to the States and they're like, Nick Fraser?
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think it's because I have a show called Fraser.
Oh, okay.
And it's spelled slightly different.
Oh, I know that show. Yeah. But there's no I in your Fraser.
No, it's Fraser.
I said it like it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, where'd you come from today?
Just from Bondi.
Oh, you got the haircut, but you did a shoot before. Is that what you did the shoot for? At the haircut place?
Not today.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
What shoot did you do today? Or you didn't do a shoot today?
Didn't do a shoot today. Just editing.
What are you working on?
I've got a couple of video projects. So just been smashing out some video projects today.
Yeah.
Had a couple of stills edits. It's been a mental week with Fashion Week and
Oh yeah, you've
all of
been
that.
shooting at the Mercedes Fashion Week?
It's Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Australia, yeah.
Yeah, right. How's that going?
Really good.
Who booked you? Did they book you direct for that?
No, just a couple of different brands, couple of different.
Oh, okay.
Some on-site, some off-site.
Right. So it's all like intern, like the brands themselves book their own photographers and they book their own.
There's such a an eclectic and convoluted amount of booking going on. There's
system.
Everyone's booking everyone. There's almost more photographers than there is models, and
I'm sure there would be.
It's mayhem.
Is it still on? Is it finished or?
It just finished up. I think the last day was the 19th.
Oh, okay, cool. So now you're just going to spend a week editing all the
So
shots.
most of that's all done now. So, but it's been hectic up until now. So,
yeah.
I've still got a couple of other edits that had to get pushed to the sidelines, unfortunately, just because
during the Fashion
Week needs really quick turnaround. So
yeah, absolutely. And did you get that last minute, or did they book you in advance, or what?
One of them was pretty last minute, 2 days before. I mean, that's not too last minute for me. I mean, I normally get booked on the day, or sometimes an hour or two before. So like, stuff is very last minute, but
that's the difference with being a good freelancer as well, being available. And what a lot of people don't understand, like, oh, you should work another job and do this, but then your opportunity's lost because you're working a 9 to 5. It's just impossible. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Precisely. If you want to be a successful freelancer, you have to be available at all times. Yeah. You have to be ready to go at the drop of a hat, and you have to have your phone switched on and ready to go, which I must admit, not brilliant at. I try my best.
You and replying. You reply to Facebook messages more often than iMessage.
I reply very well to calls, because usually when clients are hitting me up, it's a call. It's
like, we need you in 30 minutes.
Yep.
4 hours away.
Exactly. And
you just get on the bike and...
My biggest issue with replying to messages is that I get a text message while I'm on my motorbike or while I'm shooting a gig.
Yeah.
And I have a quick look at it and then put it away because I don't have a chance to answer it. And then, of course, I completely forget it because there's no notification, and
jeez.
2 days goes by.
Can bikes have speakers on them?
If you get like a big Goldwing, you can actually have external speakers like a car.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
It's a pretty excessive setup. They have the full aerials and the speakers and everything.
Jeez.
You can get internal Bluetooth, like
for the helmet.
Helmet headphones.
But it doesn't connect with any device in the bike, right? Because my mate just got a Vespa and it says it's got Apple Play on it.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So it must be a modern thing then. It must have, his phone must connect to his bike and then to his Bluetooth headset, I would imagine. Yeah,
cool. Can you just like sit more directly like this? Just with experience with this mic. It'll be fine. You get a deep voice. But that's better. You don't have to sit so like a robot.
Very straight back.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to talk about Mongolia. That's the main thing I want to talk about, but I had some other things. Let's just give some context about what you do, bro. So Nick is, I'll just do a little, how I see it. Nick is a freelance photographer / video editor, but he specializes in photography. He's very good at music photography, so big events like, festivals and whatnot. That's sort of your specialty, or one of them. Done a lot of corporate stuff. I guess that's your main source of income, or the corporate ones. And then you just take up cool projects on the side, like photography projects. Like, for instance, tell us, you went to this car one, bro.
Yeah, so a good friend of mine who I started a media company with almost 6 years ago now, and was at for 4 years, My Media Sydney. They... him and some other guys I do a lot of work for through motorsports and motorcycles and things like that. They've combined together, and they've come up with a new little brand they're launching called Infast.
Yeah, right. Which is?
So the Infast Rally is a rally that takes a bunch of old classic cars, a little over 3,000 kilometers from Sydney down the Great Ocean Road, all the way down past Melbourne in a big loop and all the way back up.
So it's like a big, like a bikey thing, but with cars. Like, do you know how
With
they just
cars,
go on road trips?
yeah, exactly. It's a big
And
road trip.
vintage cars.
Vintage
like
cars.
Yeah.
And
That's
the aim
right
of the
up your-
race is not necessarily to actually win or
Yeah.
race each other to the finish line. It's more so almost an endurance rally, because you're dealing with cars that are 30, 40, 50 years old, and trying to get a car through those sort of roads that,
Well, they're breaking down and
they're
stuff.
breaking down.
Oh my God.
I mean, we left Sydney with 5 cars and we came back with 1 and 2 halves.
You're joking. Oh, I saw a picture of a car that got smashed up.
One
or
got
something.
seriously written off. It was no one's fault. It was unfortunately just a circumstantial thing.
Yeah.
Dirt road.
Took a turn.
Took a turn. There was too much dust on the road. There was a big ute coming the other way. He couldn't see because of the dust. The driver from our side couldn't see because of the dust, and
Oh no.
just head-on collision.
Everyone was all right.
Everything was all right.
Was there
Everyone
airbags
fine.
in a 40-year-old car? Like,
There was no airbags in that. In fact, he was very, very lucky. If he hadn't moved his foot off the accelerator to hit the brakes, I reckon he would have lost his right leg.
oh my God.
The right wheel was right the way through the firewall.
You weren't in that car, obviously.
I wasn't in that
Behind?
car. I was in the car behind, and I went into the back of the accident.
Oh, you were driving the car behind.
Yep, which was not my car, I might add. I'm very sorry, Phil.
God, how was everyone with damaging their cars after that? Was everyone happy to be alive, or were they like a bit?
I must say, if I can buy insurance. Buy insurance. That's my best recommendation from that whole rally experience.
Yeah.
Get good insurance.
Jeez. Oh my God, because those vintage cars, right?
It was a pricey
But you know
endeavor.
what? That's the risk you take.
Exactly. And when else do you get to hang out of the window of a car at 100 kilometers an hour and photograph a bunch of old classics?
I can't believe you were alive still, because that story you told with the kangaroo on your motorbike, I think you got to tell that again.
Okay, so I do a little bit of motorcycle touring.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, and we got to talk about you and your bike, man, because you spend 90% of your time fixing your bike. You're a fixer, bro. You should be building, not in photography. I often have that thought. I'm like, Nick, what the hell is he doing? It's a great photographer, but like, you're wearing the engine, bro. Like, you're fucking taking out shit I've never even heard of in the car, and like you're like a mechanic, man.
A bush mechanic.
You're a bush mechanic, bro. You love it. You love fixing things. Just admit it, Nick.
I do. I love fixing things. I absolutely love it. It's definitely a passion.
Yeah.
It's definitely a passion.
Anyway,
I've started. Yeah.
Sorry, continue with the story.
Yeah. So I was doing a little trip up from Melbourne. I was coming back up from Melbourne on my motorbike. It's a 15-hour ride with breaks and stuff. Maybe even a little bit longer. And did it over 2 days. And in this particular situation, I had my ex-girlfriend follow me up in our van.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of gunned ahead, try and make it to Canberra before it got too cold. It was about 8 o'clock at night. It's pitch black, rural road.
Yeah.
Pretty bad time to be riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'm coming along a country road, and I'm probably going to incriminate myself for saying this, but as with most rural country roads, people generally tend to go a little bit above the speed limit.
Absolutely.
And so, this road, most people are doing about 140 on or more. I thought I was being quite conservative, doing 125.
Oh, that's fine.
So
You don't even notice you're speeding in at 125.
don't even really notice it. I'm cruising along. It's extremely cold. I've got a lot of layers on.
Yeah.
I remember looking down at my tacho at 125 k's an hour, looking back up at the road, winding on the throttle, and as I do that, just bang, straight out of nowhere, kangaroo comes flying out of the tree line. It didn't even hit the ground. It landed straight in my front headlight.
Oh, it didn't even hit the ground.
Didn't
It wasn't
even
like
hit the ground.
a deer in headlights like type
No,
situation.
not at all. No warning at all. I was coming along that road going, wow, there's a lot of roadkill. What do I do if something hops out? So
Boom.
I had my hands sitting over the brakes.
Oh, you were
foot
ready for
set
it.
up.
Yeah.
I was completely ready. I was ready to either, swerve if need be, hit the brakes if it was right in front of me. I couldn't avoid it, duck down so it didn't whack me in the head. in actual reality, it happened so quick I didn't get to move my fingers more than 2 millimeters.
Jeez.
I didn't even manage to activate my brakes. Yeah. And my fingers were right on top of the lever.
You were ready to go.
And it landed on my headlight. It was a rural road, as I said, so no street lights.
Shit. So your headlight's out.
Just stars overhead, knocked the headlight out.
125 hits a kangaroo, no light. You didn't feel the fur hit your hand or anything, or?
The last mental image I have is of the kangaroo's face lit up in the headlight just before it smacked off the front of my helmet.
Yeah, well.
And then it went pitch black, and all I remember is just thinking in my head, I'm doing, even after the impact, probably over 110 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
I could feel the bars slapping from left to right against the side of the tank.
Oh, so you were
I was
still on the bike?
Still on the bike, and all I could hear was the rear tire just skidding like crazy. And it's actually kind of, it sounds weird saying this now, but the thing that popped into my mind was a scene from the movie Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis.
Damn it, I wish I'd seen it. You should have told me to watch it.
And in this scene, you know, they're driving along. Zach Galifianakis is driving the car, and he falls asleep at the wheel, and he drives the car off a bridge, and Robert Downey Jr. breaks his arm. Okay. They get to the hospital, and Zach goes, you know, man, the doctor said the reason I didn't get hurt is because I was so relaxed. I'm such a deep sleeper. You shouldn't have tensed up, man. That's why you broke your arm. And so while I'm skidding along at 110 k's an hour, this is going through my head. I'm thinking, stay relaxed. You don't want to break anything.
Yeah.
And so I've laid the bike down. I've made the conscious decision.
First of all, I don't think you should be taking advice from Due Date. First of all,
probably not.
Okay, but
probably not.
It's
a
everything's
comic
happened
movie.
so quick.
Everything's happened quick. This is what pops into my head. I'm going, stay relaxed, stay limp.
Yeah.
And I laid the bike down on the right hand side and slid.
So you did it intentionally. You're like, I can't control this bike. I
was going, I can't see. At the moment, I'm going to hit a tree or a guardrail. At least if I lie down, I have a better chance of not getting flicked into the air. And at least I'm sliding on the ground. I'm not going to jump or bounce or roll.
Was it on a dead straight road?
Dead straight road. So
lucky, right?
Very, very lucky. I slid 150 meters. And as I started to come to a stop, the bike started catching on the ground. Like, there's just sparks everywhere. You could feel it starting to kick like it was going to throw me up in the air.
Yeah, right.
I stayed with the bike up until this stage.
So you're just
sliding on my shoulder.
Yeah, right.
Feel it grinding on the side of my helmet. And as it starts to catch, I've gone, oh, it's going to kick me. So I've kicked the bike away from my legs.
Oh, because the bike's just going to go...
it's going to flick me right up in the air and break something. So I've kicked it away, and I've just watched as it slides across the road in an array of sparks.
Oh, that would have been
and
cool.
In the moonlight, it just catches an edge, and it flicks up and spins about 3 times in the air, and it just comes crashing back down on the road.
Wow.
And just like stuff everywhere, you know, tank bags all over the place, seat flies off, you know.
Did you pull out your camera while this is happening?
I'm very glad I actually didn't have my camera on me.
Yeah.
I'd left it in the van. If I'd had it on, I reckon I would have broken my back because I would have landed that heavily on the backpack.
Oh, shit.
So I'm very, very lucky. I'd taken it off about half an hour earlier.
Wow.
I'd taken it off because if I'd landed on that, it would have seriously caused damage to my spine.
Wow, man.
So very, very lucky. Came to a stop about half a meter from the guardrail. I remember looking up and seeing this huge, big 7-foot, stocky, roided up looking roo.
Yeah.
And going, oh shit, it's still alive. It's gonna box me. And then I've realised, oh thank God that's a different roo.
Yeah,
it's just
of course.
There's so much roadkill.
Yeah.
It's well and truly dead. This one. I stood up, I've grabbed the bike, I've grabbed the seat and stuff. I started hauling it across the road. I've leaned up against the guardrail. There's oil everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've pulled this stuff off the road real quick, and then this truck just comes around the corner at like 140, right in the oncoming lane where I'd just been sitting, 30 seconds prior.
Shit.
And so from there, I held down the van and got some tin foil and strapped it over the hole in the engine.
And you kept riding that night?
And rode it, and I got about 10 minutes in, and the tin foil bust through, and oil started pissing out of the side of the bike, so then I had to ride side saddle because there's so much hot oil coming out of the right hand side. It was burning my leg with both legs on one side of the
You're joking.
side of the bike. So no rear brake.
Why don't just
one front brake?
that seems ridiculous.
Intermittent lights that were going in and out. no indicators, no left handlebar. So one hand, side saddle.
How many hours?
Hour and a half to Canberra.
And it was freezing.
And it was like really, really cold, like 2 degrees.
You should have just slept in the van. You got all the gear, right?
I probably should have, but I was pretty keen to get to Canberra that night because there was nowhere to stop. Right on the shoulder of the road, bad area. So I rode at Canberra, left it in a motorcycle shop with a little note on it saying sorry about the mess, and came back in the morning, fixed the bars.
Yeah. You fixed it by yourself?
Fixed it in the car park.
Yeah, wow.
Spot new bars, reinstalled all the wiring and stuff, and I just put like 20 layers of tinfoil on the head. No, I rode it about an hour back to Sydney, and the tinfoil blew through. I'm on the side of the road in the pissing rain with trucks going past it, 110, half a foot off the highway, and there's just water all going in the engine and everything. I just got a whole bunch of auto body silicon that I had in the van and just put like tinfoil, auto body silicon, tinfoil, auto body silicon. Just did that like 40 times. Then rode it all the way back to Sydney, and it lasted. Did an oil change. All the stones and bits of metal fell out of the engine.
You spend so much. Hold up. You spend so much time on that bike. Like, if you had just copped it and bought like a proper one that can take those rides, because it's a beautiful bike. Don't get me wrong. What is it? 1980 Beamer one or
1984 BMW?
Yeah, it's awesome. It looks insane, but bro, come on. You need something a bit bigger, bro. Where you can put like your, there's hard cases on the side, and you can put your camera gear in and stuff.
You aren't wrong.
You just need to cop that bullet one day and do it. Yeah, that's fucking crazy, bro. All right. So what else? Let's talk about your photography stuff. How long have you been? So My Media. Are you still associated with My Media?
I've left My Media now. So I was working with them as like an employee for 4 years up until about almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I've gone freelance since then.
Yeah.
But I'm still really good friends with all the guys. I still love working with that crew.
Yeah,
They're
cool.
a great bunch of guys. So I often go and work with the My Media boys and jump on board with them for bigger shoots when they need spare guys. And yeah, it's fantastic. Really, really great.
You see like all the same photographers around, don't you? Like
precisely.
shooters.
It's a very nice, close knit crew. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Patrick Roll, ROH. Yeah, I met him a couple of months ago now. He's a cool bloke. So you shoot with him too? Is he with that? No, he's with Sure.
He's with Sure. So they're a different little production company, similar sort of thing to that whole scene. Shoot a lot of music.
What's your favourite thing you've shot at?
Oh, that's a very hard.
I feel like it'd probably be the most recent, the car one, right? Because you love like.
I do love motorsports and adventure travel and stuff. So
that's sort of a good combination.
Yeah, that the last couple of weeks were really, really fun actually. Yeah. So shot a rally, and then immediately after that got back for a couple of days and went on a little ride for Ducati and shot some motorbikes up there. So
wow.
Just 2 day.
Did you get to ride one?
Yeah. They hooked us up with a whole bunch of brilliant little Ducati scramblers. Great bikes. That's brilliant bikes.
So that's you. They still pay you for this, or are you doing this as like a love job? Like,
I mean, it depends on the shoot. I mean, some of them are love jobs, some of them are paid.
Yeah.
A lot of these sort of jobs, although they may be paid or they're paid in some aspects or expenses are paid, a lot of the time you end up breaking even with some of the love jobs because you end up, especially if you're on travel jobs and
you end up running into a truck, for instance.
Yeah, or you smash your car, or you spend money on traveling on food and booze and whatever else, and it all sort of works out in the end. But I mean, I don't do these jobs for money. I do them for the passion, and if the money's there, it's brilliant because it helps me support these sort of endeavors, and it allows me to do more of them in future, and it also means that I can get away from my other work and make it justifiable. Yeah, right.
So is that your strategy? Like, you just want to keep being able to shoot cool projects that you're passionate about, like do the corporate stuff to fund your life, and then just get more opportunities for these cool projects? Is that what you see yourself doing?
At the moment, that's what I've been doing.
But is that the plan for the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, within the next 5 years, I want to be entirely shooting expedition adventure travel photography.
Right, so that's niche.
That's niche.
Like exactly what you just did, basically, but get paid for it, like more. Yeah.
Be fully funded doing that.
Man, it's so interesting that you are the third podcast. The guy I had last, Adam, he owns. You need to listen to it. It's not out yet, but
fantastic.
Anyway, that'll be confusing for people listening. Anyway, he owns Bucket Vision travel publication.
Okay,
Of almost,
fantastic.
they're chasing 1 million followers at the moment, killing it. He's all over the world doing stuff.
Amazing.
Like working with Qantas and brands and stuff, and he's been doing it for 5-10 years now, and it's only now sort of coming to the stage where he's getting paid well for it, you know what I mean? But you should have a message him. Definitely. And see if there's anything you guys might be able to collaborate, because he's always looking. He even said in the podcast he's always looking for videographers, creators in that space, you know what I mean? And travel expedition stuff, I'm sure he's come across that. Like, that's half his thing. Like, definitely. So you should send him a message. And anyone listening, go back and listen to that podcast, because that was it. You know what, like, I re-listened to it as I was going through it after, and I'm like, I was more inspired the second time I listened to it. I think I was so worried about like all the audio during the podcast, but as I was listening to it, I'm like, oh my god, this guy is fucking incredible, bro. Like, what? Even though I was there. Anyway,
can't wait to tune in.
Yeah, bro, tune into that. Okay, so that's a good plan. The niche expedition travel, and yeah, cool. Okay? I guess now is a perfect segue to talk about Mongolia.
Fantastic.
Tell us, bro.
So, in 2.5 weeks, I believe, on the 5th of June, I'm embarking on a 3-month journey to Mongolia. I'm making a documentary on nomadic culture, and will be riding a horse, which I'm going to purchase for the duration of that 3 months.
Oh, Nick. Man, you can't fix a horse, man, when it breaks down. I wonder what you're going to do.
I'm a little bit concerned about that. The spanners don't come in as useful with the horse.
Have you are you comfortable with horse riding? You've done it once.
I'm comfortable. I've ridden a horse a couple of times, but okay. I'm not an experienced horse person. Put it that way.
You will be after 3 months.
I will definitely be after 3 months.
Mongolia. So are you crossing like a certain area? Like, what's the? Or you just...
So initially, when I started planning this trip, it's a trip I've been talking about and thinking about for almost 3 years now.
Yeah. So
it's something I'm very passionate about. I've always been interested by visiting areas that are very culturally interesting and also are, untouched by most tourist destinations and aren't seen as a common place to travel.
Yeah.
So for me, Mongolia was an obvious choice. It was somewhere that no one really knew anything about.
Oh, you can keep talking. Actually, hold up. Yeah, continue, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
So no one... There's a place that no one... You're right.
No one knew anything about it.
I don't know anything about it.
I didn't know anything about it.
The only thing I know is, like, Mongolian lamb, bro, at the Chinese shop.
So what's really interesting...
Where is Mongolia?
Mongolia is situated right above China and right below Russia.
Right. That sounds like a quite a zone to be in.
Yes, quite the zone to be in.
Yeah.
Also, Mongolia, which most people don't know, I believe had the largest, and still has to this day, the largest empire that has ever been.
What classifies an empire?
Okay, obviously it's not still the largest empire in the world. I worded that wrong, but they had, during their time, had the largest empire that the world has ever seen.
You mean like empire, like civilization, like is empire related?
So like
to
think like Roman Empire or
what's the biggest army?
Not necessarily the biggest army, but they spanned the most.
Maybe the biggest
distance.
Oh, okay.
They'd taken over all the way to Hungary from Mongolia. They'd invaded lots of China. They're the only country to ever successfully invade Russia during winter. During the reign of Genghis Khan, they completely took over.
Yeah.
I mean, they conquered far more than Napoleon or Alexander the Great or the Roman Empire or even the Brits managed to do.
You know how I actually did know that? Because I've seen that Netflix show, Marco Polo. Have you watched it?
I have.
Did you love it?
I did. It was fantastic.
You know, one of the characters, just the guy, one of the sons who's not like a pure blood son, the big guy, he bought a car from Sam Tonin. He's Australian. He said, I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy before. And like googled his name or something, like that's the guy from Marco Polo. That's right. Anyway,
tangent.
So tangent. Yeah, continue. So biggest empire.
So it's pretty interesting how many Western countries know about Mongolia, considering during their reign it was massive.
How big is this country? Like,
so it's quite a large country. It's I couldn't give you the exact stats. I'm sorry.
Compare it to Tasmania. How many Tasmanias is it?
I actually don't know. I don't know how big Tasmania is. I'm really sorry.
Me neither.
It's probably about the width of Australia.
What?
Yeah.
Mongolia is the width of Australia.
It's a pretty long, like, width-wise, it's quite long. It's a bit skinnier.
No.
It's kind of elongated, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
So squash, it's like, it runs about 3/4 of the width of China. It's quite a long country.
Shit, man. I didn't know that.
Maybe not quite that far, maybe
Are
half
you
the width of China.
Going on your horse across the whole trip?
So initially, when I thought of the idea of this trip, I wanted to do from eastern to western Mongolia on horseback, then cut down through northwestern China, through Tibet, and into Nepal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't bring Mongolian horses outside of Mongolia because they're considered national treasures.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
it's like trying to take a kangaroo outside of Australia, except you've got a whole bunch of Mongolian bureaucracy to deal with, which, as you can imagine, would be a nightmare.
Is Mongolian horses specifically a breed, or just any Mongolian
Mongolian horses are very sought after in that section of the world. They're quite small horses.
But is it like...
And they're super endurance driven.
Oh, okay, so it's like a thoroughbred Mongolian horse.
Nothing
draft horse.
Nothing like...
Like, is the horse its own breed, a Mongolian horse?
I don't know if they
Or is
call
it
them
like-
Mongolian horse, but yes, they are
Is
their
it
own breed.
Like a
And-
Mongolian thoroughbred, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so like thoroughbred horses, Western horses can carry extreme loads. They have a lot of strength, and they're great horses, but they will never hold up
They're not making it across the Mongolian plains.
for endurance to the sort of stamina that
How
that
much
a Mongolian
is
horse
a
can.
horse going to cost you?
So a shitty horse is about $300
Yeah.
Aussie. I'll probably be looking to spend about $500 per horse. I'm going to buy one primary horse and one pack horse, and I'll alternate the two.
And you're doing this by yourself?
So initially I was doing this by myself. It's a fully solo endeavor.
Yeah.
I've now managed to...
Rope someone into it.
Yeah, so I found 9 other crazies that are...
9?
9 other crazies that are also going
That's
to be
bad.
embarking on this journey. So
Together.
we've got from all over the world. We've got people from
How'd you find these
Australia and the web. It's crazy.
You haven't met them?
I've met 2 of them now. 2 of the 9.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
And are you all producers, videos? Like
No, so everyone brings their own little aspect and bundle of skills. You have those that are really interested by horses and know everything there is to know about horses, to those that have been traveling for 5 to 10 years and know everything about traveling. Or
You got someone who
others that
knows
are-
how to use a compass?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've got all the different aspects, which is really cool because it brings it all together.
Yeah, wow. Keep talking, I'm just putting this on silent.
Yeah, so it's going to be a really, really interesting trip.
9 people, man.
Yeah, so we're looking at routes at the moment. That'll be determined more when we get to the capital, Ulaanbaatar. So
That's the first time you're all going to meet.
that's the first time we're all going to meet,
I'm
we're
just-
going to buy horses there. We'll be there for a week or 2 to organise all our gear, get all our horses sorted, and from there we'll be camping for 3 months, following some form of water source
I'm just...
through the forest and the open plains, in
first
the
of-
land of blue sky.
It's just blowing my mind. First of all, it's crazy that you were going to do that by yourself. So I'm glad you're going with people. But you haven't screened these people. What if you got someone who's like, a pathological liar or I don't know, like a sociopath or some shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's...
I guess
have
that's
you
the
thought-
risk. It's the risk you take, isn't it?
Man, that's sketchy, but awesome.
I'm excited. I
very
think they all sound like really interesting individuals.
Yeah.
As with every traveling trip over time, you can get fed up with people, and you can get fed up with little things. And,
Absolutely.
And if that happens, then it happens. But I'm sure we'll work through it and figure something out.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I've also been very clear that this is a trip that I've wanted to make a documentary about for years, and so there may come times when I do go off solo. I mean, I have 3 months, so in that duration, I can go off for a month and go and stay in a little village and
Or you
learn
might-
about the local culture and meet them.
Or go
further point.
Go west a couple hundred
Or
k's,
go
go
west.
find yourself.
Exactly. So there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room for exploration.
So you're just going to film as much as you can and just make a documentary around that, voice over it afterwards, and
Yeah, so there's a few different points I want to touch on. This will obviously develop within the edit, and also with the people that I meet there, with the culture and the story will unfold from there. But ideally, I've lived a pretty nomadic lifestyle this last 2 years, and I've always been interested by living a nomadic lifestyle. Moving around a lot. I've gotten rid of a lot of my possessions and try and, you know, keep it very bare bones and minimalist. So
I've actually, on your list of things to talk about, it's got minimalism there. So I was going to talk about this. This is brilliant.
brilliant. So last year I lived out of a van with my ex-girlfriend and my 3-4-month-old Kelpie pup.
Yeah.
For 4 months in and around Australia.
Yeah.
So
that's where it started.
Yeah, up in Sydney, up in Byron, back down in Melbourne. Was in Melbourne for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Bounced all around the place, and you know it was really cool experience because you have this van where everything is entirely off grid. You have solar to power all your appliances. You have to find water, which surprisingly is a very difficult thing to find, especially if you're in a city. You know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're hopping someone's front fence to try and pinch water from their outdoor tap. You know, meanwhile filling up your 50-litre water thing on the roof, or you know, going to service stations trying to have baths in someone's in a local public toilet, or you know, in the sink.
Jesus Christ.
Like it becomes pretty bare bones.
Makes the storage place here look like a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. And I never realised this, but Melbourne needs to fix this problem. They're a great city, but they have no local public showers.
Dude,
not a single one anywhere in Melbourne. Sydney has plenty. You go to any of the beaches and they have public showers.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's no beaches in Melbourne, really, within the city centre, though.
It's too cold, bro. No one goes to the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
So there's no public showers.
So don't do nomad lifestyle in Melbourne
in the centre of the CBD. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. So much resentment.
especially with a young dog. That makes it when you're trying to freelance in a new city.
Oh god, that's it. That's a headache. I would have, if we knew each other before then, I would have told you not to do that.
You probably would have. You would have said, "You're a fixer, bro," but just
you're a fixer. Yeah.
Just go and buy a house.
Fix it. Go buy a rundown house and just
Exactly. Don't do the van thing, which is now blown up, and you would have been very right in telling me not to do that.
Yeah.
It blew a head gasket, so
couldn't fix that.
I tried very 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 hard. I lost $1,500 trying to fix that thing.
But I remember this.
That's all right.
Yeah,
it was a good learning curve. I now know how not to fix an engine.
Yeah.
And how to fix an engine.
Okay, well, you learned something.
That's good.
Back to Mongolia. So the film is going to be you work
it's
on.
It's going to be about nomadic culture as a primary overarching theme, I guess.
That's the main storyline.
That's the main storyline. Subplot is
getting across the plains.
So that will be the journey throughout the documentary.
Yeah.
And then there'll be little aspects that I'd like to touch on as well. So, as a nomad, how do you deal with health? How do you deal with diet? How do you deal with moving from A to B?
What about currency stuff where you need
how do you deal with no ATMs? Is there a bar system? How does currency work? What's their relationship with animals? They depend on their animals for everything. Absolutely everything in Mongolia. A lot of areas they don't farm because they are moving so often that you can't really have agriculture because you're moving every couple of months. Your animals end up grazing all the available grass. You can't stay there, so you have to move. And so you move your yurt or your gur camp from A to B, and that means that you have to adapt to that lifestyle. You have to eat a lot of meat, eat a lot of dairy and fermented cheeses and all sorts of it's a completely different diet. I mean,
your immune system is going to be boss by the time you get back.
It will be very interesting.
You will never get sick. You'll either be dead or you will never get sick again.
One of the two.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I didn't know that was the goal with the type of video you're going to make. That's going to be epic. I watched that minimalism video.
Ah, yes. Fantastic little docker.
Yeah, that was cool. But this is, you're in Mongolia, bro. It's going to be a little bit more interesting, you know what I mean?
Well, there's some other aspects to consider as well, which are quite tricky. So, your personal horse can only hold 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Max.
What camera are you bringing?
I'm bringing a Canon 1DX Mark II.
Yeah.
Which weighs 1.5 kilos, just the body.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So then you need the lens, the batteries, the charger.
You're 5 kilos worth of camera gear. Minimum.
10.
You're using all 10?
Probably 10.
Wait, the horse can only carry 10 kilos?
Because you weigh X amount already. So
right.
You ideally, like a thoroughbred horse, you'd be looking at 80 kilos as your max sort of limit.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more weight you put on them,
the less
endurance, the more they wear at. Jeez. So I'm coming at about 74 kilos.
But by the time
put another 10 on that.
By the end of the trip, though, you'll lose weight for sure. So
Exactly. So
you can put more on.
yeah. So then that means taking a pack horse as well. So then the pack horse, I'm maxed to about 30 kilos. So that's 30 kilos of food, water, pots, pans, fuel, charging equipment, camera gear,
Like
sleeping
the solar
bags,
panel chargers,
everything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
over the course of 3 months, I'll be lucky if I get anywhere to charge my equipment. So that means bringing an entirely independent solar powered system. That's, $1,000 in solar gear.
What are you buying? Because I've been researching this to charge my stuff busking, and I've been looking into batteries, and I actually wanted to talk about it with you because I knew that you know something.
I would highly recommend a company called Goal Zero.
Goal Zero?
Goal Zero.
Yeah.
They're an American-based company. They are very expensive, but their equipment is the best on the market from what I've seen.
Pay for what you get.
Exactly. It's fully weather sealed. It's robust. It's designed to work in environments like this. And
So you bought one?
I haven't bought one yet. I need to purchase that just before I leave.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is trying to get all my cash flow sorted for the trip.
Yeah.
As a freelancer, often invoices come in intermittently. So
Oh god, you've had some real shit experiences with that. We won't name names, but Nick got really dicked over recently. Well, not. It was actually quite a while ago.
quite some time back. It's all right. Good learning curve.
Big learning curve, yeah. But it's just hard. I know that chasing money and getting.
Yeah, so I want to make sure. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of work leading up until I leave.
Yeah.
But I need to get as much of the cash flow sorted before I depart Ulaanbaatar as possible, because access to ATMs will be very limited.
Yeah, right.
And so I need the money in cash. I need the money in my hand before I leave the capital.
You were originally gonna do something with sponsorship, right? You still looking?
I was looking into sponsorship initially.
Is that against the nomad way though?
Yeah, I mean it is in a little bit. I've now decided to go unsupported, which is
right.
Potentially for better or worse. Is the way it's happening.
You can always sell sponsorship when you come back with a documentary.
Exactly, and I'm sure, depending on the footage that I get, I'm sure there'll be some interested parties.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all comes together upon my return.
What type of people do you think would be a good sponsor for this? Like Canon, for instance? Like if you're shooting on a 1DX?
So I actually spoke to Canon about this, and they were very interested by the idea. Wow. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit in with their marketing direction this year, and that's fine. That was completely okay. Yeah. I completely understand that.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's
like a tech company or something like that.
Exactly, and I mean, ideally, I'd love to submit the doco into some film festivals, or or maybe like if I could get it on Netflix, that'd be fantastic.
Jeez, I'm pumped, bro.
We'll see how we go. It really depends what I come back with. I'll also be putting together a little bit of a photo series, so there will be a coffee book or something of that kind. I might do a little gallery launch from the photo series, and also be selling some prints.
Hey, maybe you should sell that in advance to get the cash flow. I'd buy one in advance, like a coffee book or something. Like what,
Fantastic.
That's a good idea.
Together.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
I'm going on this big trip. If you get like 20 people to buy $100 book or whatever, like if you're going to publish books at the end, give you some cash. And
the biggest scare that I have is that then you go and spend the money on your trip and you come back and have to come up with a whole bunch of money to print a whole bunch of books.
Yeah. Well, you should find out how much it costs to make a book. Of that 100, take 60 away per book and keep it somewhere here under your bed. Depending on how many.
You're a businessman. I like it.
It's because I've made all these mistakes before. That's what I do, man. That's exciting, man.
Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. I'm really, really excited for it. It's a little bit scary, but it's really exciting as well.
Oh, you'll be fine, bro. You're a fixer, bro. Anything that goes wrong, you'll I don't know, muster up something. You'll break a couple twigs, get horsehair, and you'll have a helicopter or some shit. I don't know.
Man builds Mongolian helicopter out of horsehair and twigs.
Yeah, that's there's your clickbait as well. So you'll be off the grid.
I'll be completely off the grid. I will have no access to internet, to phone, to any form of reception, to power for 3 months.
Is anyone else in the team so tech related? Like, do they need to charge as many?
I don't think we'll need too much power. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a little bit so that we can,
But is anyone else rocking
stuff? But no one else is taking any camera equipment.
Yeah, so it's just you, man.
It'll be an exclusive.
Are you going to focus on the people as part of it as well, like the interactions with you guys, and like if there's a bit of tension and
100%. I mean, I don't want to make it too reality show, if that makes sense.
No, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it will be a lot more of a struggle than I realised. There'll be a lot of hardships and stuff. I mean,
you like not all 9 of you are gonna make it.
Thanks for jinxing us. I really appreciate it.
No, I have faith in
Touch
you,
wood.
but I haven't met these other people. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone could last 3 months in Mongolia. I'd struggle. What's the boy-girl split of these people?
Oh, it's pretty even split, which is good. And a good split of skills as well, which is nice.
Yeah. So okay, you got to bring protection as well. I'm just saying, like you don't want to come back with like a Mongolian baby. Well, like not that specifically a Mongolian babies, but you don't want to knock someone up on a.
I mean, that would really stuff up your 10-kilo baggage limit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not the most nutritious environment to raise a child.
No. Oh, let's talk about their immune system though. That'd be through the roof. Born in like the rugged, Mongolia.
Mongolian steppe.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I took you off your topic.
Let's talk a little bit more about minimalism.
Yeah.
Because for this trip, it's actually really interesting. Trying to get everything down to as light a pack size as possible, and you have to really think about what do you really need, what is actually imperative in your life, and there's a lot of stuff that is expedition specific, especially when you're trying to film a documentary. You need the power, you need the camera gear.
Undies.
You can't take cotton underwear.
What?
Think about it. Cotton underwear, you're in a saddle for 12 hours every single day for 3 months. Imagine that jock itch.
Are you freeballing it?
I'm going to go wool. Merino wool.
Yes.
'Cause it stays warm when it's wet. It's naturally, the fibers in merino wool naturally are odor not resistant, but they help with odor reduction. You need something that you can wash in a stream and it's dry or it's still warm when it's wet. All your clothing is limited to 2 t-shirts, 2 sets of undies, 2 sets of socks, 2 sets of pants. That's it.
Jeez, that's all you can take. Yeah.
You wash one, you leave them to dry on you.
And you're washing them in like a little well or a dam.
Be lucky if we find a well or a dam. I think it'll be a local creek, but
yeah, well, sorry. A creek's better than a dam, right?
Exactly.
That's another coincidence. The last podcast with Adam, I was telling him about possum socks. Have you ever worn possum socks?
I believe I have worn possum socks.
They're insane,
They're
right?
Really, really nice.
Yeah, I was blown
really
away, and so he suggested as a joke in the podcast that's a sponsorship opportunity. So what I did this morning was get in contact with a New Zealand company that makes possum socks. So the first sort of podcast sponsor by possum socks.
Fantastic.
Or they haven't replied to me. I'm not gonna lie, but if it works out, it'll be pretty funny.
No, they're brilliant. They're brilliant socks.
Crazy.
I
right?
had a set that had like these had like a silver threaded lining inside them. So
silver threaded lining possum socks.
Yeah. So it has like silver threads. So the silver is odor and bacteria resistant. So silver as a material kills bacteria. So you put silver thread within the socks, and it completely reduces all of that.
How do you know this?
So you can wear the
man?
same socks for 5 or 6 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit gross, but still crazy. How
You'd
silver...
be amazed at how little they smell after 5 days.
So if you're wearing like heaps of silver chains, the chance of you smelling less are higher.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, okay. So what? It just absorbs the bacteria.
It just kills bacteria.
That's
I believe.
crazy, man.
I'm not sure exactly the science of it, but
okay.
Yeah.
Next time after Mongolia, we'll do another podcast and we talk about your trip, and I want you to research the silver properties and bacteria.
I will get back to you on that
because that's very interesting. I love science stuff, man. Are you capable of like reading by the stars and compasses and navigating? How are you geography wise?
I am. I'm not the greatest navigator on the planet, but it's something I've got to do a bit of a refresher course on.
Yep.
I used to do heaps of scouts and stuff like that, so definitely done my fair share of orienteering, but
yeah, right.
It's something I need to touch up on.
Someone in the team an expert at that?
No one in the team is an expert at that.
Okay, so
we will all become.
I'm standing by. I'm standing by. One of you will not make the end of the trip. You're gonna direct you.
I think a big part of it is going to be dictated by water.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of it will have to be run along a water source because you have to feed and water your horses. So.
Does the government have an issue with you doing this? Is this like permits or some stuff you need?
No. It's just free reign.
Yeah, well.
So, as long as you meet the visa requirements, it's free reign.
Well. So
I'm very lucky. I have an American passport, so I get 90 days
Oh, that's
visa
the 3
free.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow,
90
perfect.
days visa free on the American passport. So I'll be using that instead of the Australian one.
Okay. Back to minimalism. Sorry, we digressed. Talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's...
So you don't own many clothes, for instance?
I don't own many clothes. I have about 2 sets of jeans and
a breakfast shirt combo.
And a breakfast shirt combo. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't own that many clothes, to be honest. Everything I own fits into a space smaller than this room, and it's actually all packs down into about 5 or 6 backpacks.
Yeah, well. How many undies do you own? I feel like that's one of the important ones.
Well, now 7 sets, because I bought 2 more from Mongolia.
Are they merino underwear?
They are. 2 of them are.
How much do they cost?
They're $50 a pair. Pretty pricey.
Are they comfy?
Very comfy.
How are they in like normal climate like this? Am I gonna get sweaty?
I'm wearing a set right now, and they're fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, fantastic.
If it's hot, are you getting sweaty or?
No, because it's very temperature regulating.
I think I'm gonna get some.
Icebreaker.
Yeah, I think I need to move
Icebreaker
to merino.
Excellent merino goods.
Yeah.
I'd normally recommend Patagonia, but unfortunately their stock is out at the moment. They had an issue with their supplier. Their supplier was not sustainable.
Oh, okay.
So they're switching suppliers at the moment.
Well, that's interesting, and you've just reminded me that'd be a good sponsor as well, wouldn't it? Like a merino company that makes that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's potential for all of this sort of stuff in the editing process as well.
But have you reached out like now, like to?
I've definitely reached out to quite a few companies.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, with sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a giant social following, or I don't have.
Yeah, keep talking. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't have a huge. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not a social media influencer. I don't have a huge amount of.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
For a large company. So
with
any sponsorship, the sponsor needs to get more than the person that's receiving. So if you need $1,000 in equipment, what are they getting? They need to be getting $5,000 worth out of that. So how is Doco Mongolia helping? Them?
With someone who's got not 100,000 followers, gonna
precisely
bring value to
so
the brand.
If I can show upon my return that here's the trailer, here's what I've got.
Yep.
This is where it's being distributed. This is how many people are going to see it. This is how you're going to benefit from it. Can you help pay for an editor to go through all this footage and create a documentary out of it? Then I think there's definitely room for something like that.
That's a good strategy.
Especially with companies that I'm using the equipment of and I will be doing reviews on throughout the time. I mean, there's going to be gear that gets trashed on this trip. There's going to be gear that stands up and saves me on this trip.
Yeah.
And I've done my research pretty carefully on a lot of that. So
you're bringing a drone as well?
I am, yeah.
What do you got?
DJI Mavic.
Oh, the Mavic, yeah, cool.
Yeah, nice and lightweight.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it'll be pretty minimal on the camera equipment. Just bringing 3 lenses. So I've got my 50 for low light, a 16 to 35 millimeter, which has image stabilization. So that'll be good for video and for big wide expanse shots and star shots. Yeah. And then I've got a 100 mil, which is also image stabilized. It's a macro. Yeah, right. So I'll be able to get some nice real close shots, and it will also work for the further away shots as well. So your horse galloping towards you across the open plain and that sort of thing. Yeah, right. That's brilliant. Those cinematic shots and exactly. Are you going to bring a stabilizer? I was looking at it, but again, weight is an issue and size. What phone do you have? iPhone 7. I did look at this. Yeah. Getting this phone stabilizer in the phone. I looked at literally just taking, an iPhone 8 and. Bro, you should. Yeah, I think I have honestly looked at it, but do it. They're insane, man. Like you can get like an Osmo stabilizer, small as, lightweight, and you'd get those incredible cinema shots. Most of my videos now I'm doing on my phone, man. The issue is then I still have to take a camera for stills. Yeah. But how small? Oh, the stabilizer. I may as well get something that does both. And to be honest, but you got no stabilizer shot. Oh, the drone. The drone will be stabilized. All the lenses are stabilized. Yeah. Okay. You got a steady hand. Yeah, you can hold them handheld. It'll be stable. And you're gonna do some nice time lapses and stuff. And yeah, exactly. There'll be a fair few hyperlapses and time lapses as well. And you obviously bring your laptop as well. It's something I debated. Yeah. And I'm still kind of debating. I'm looking at potentially. I think it might just come down to a budget thing. It might be easier to just take the laptop, even though it is large and heavy to cart and another thing that can get stolen. But I was looking at potentially taking a NAR box, which is a little device that. And I reached out to them and they're willing to give me some a percentage off if I want to purchase one of them. So
Yeah,
that would be
nice.
nice.
Was the Nile box just put the footage on without
So
having
yeah,
a
you can just
laptop?
plug it. It's fantastic actually. A great little device. They're bringing out a new one which looks cutting edge. You can plug your memory card or your card reader or your hard drive or whatever into it, and it will let you use an app on your phone to transfer footage from your card onto your hard drive or onto the Nile box itself.
How big is it?
It's pretty small. It's about the size of a small hard drive, maybe like a small Seagate 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah,
about the same size.
I already want one, eh?
Yeah,
Because
it's brilliant.
SD cards are so expensive.
Yeah, I mean they're coming down a lot in price now, but still.
Still, what, down from 300 to 150 for like a good one?
Well, I mean my 1DX takes CFast cards that are $1,200 for one. So
Yeah.
I mean,
what,
if I-
60 gigs?
128.
128 gigs for $1,200.
Yeah.
Insane. It's 2018. Why haven't we figured out how to like?
And you know what the funniest part is? CFast is a dead tech as well.
Oh really? It's
Yeah,
not.
it's
No
gonna
one's
get
building.
It's going to get phased out. It's being phased out for a new system. So
Those cards are only going to get more expensive if they're going to stop making
no,
them.
they'll just drop completely in price, and then
Oh right.
you won't be able to use them for anything because they'll just be useless. So there's no point in buying any more because then you've dropped $1,200 on a card.
Yeah.
In a year's time, it's worth $50.
Shit.
I've invested probably over $2,000 into memory cards that are
Yeah.
worth less than $100 now.
Yeah, that's horrible. It makes me sick. I've spent probably about $600-700 on SD cards as well.
And then batteries as well. I mean, the batteries for the 1D are $200 a pop.
Yeah, and you need at least 5, right?
I'm gonna try and do it on 2. We'll see how we go.
Bro.
I don't really want to spend another
Oh my god, this
$600 on batteries. I'm better investing in $600 into a solar equipment.
Yeah.
And shooting minimally.
Yeah. Shooting minimally, that's true. It's the whole thing, isn't it? You got to
Yep.
shoot the shots that are worth it, and
Exactly. No big long takes unless they need to be done.
yeah, right.
And I'll be shooting interviews and stuff in Ulaanbaatar as well. So
What do you
where I
bring-
have access to power.
Okay. You charge up your stuff properly, and
Yep. So I'll shoot all the interviews and stuff there.
shotgun mics.
Shotgun mic and a little lapel.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. And then I'm shooting a little bit of stuff here before we leave. And then I'll be shooting some when we get back. And I'll shoot everything in 1080p, so it's full HD. And then some of the hero shots will be shot in 4K.
Yeah, right.
So I can crop in on them and
Yep.
have a bit more room to play with.
Man, I'm so pumped for you. This is going to be awesome.
I'm excited.
You got 2.5 weeks to try and sell some books or whatever. Like
I got 2.5 weeks where I'm booked out almost every day for work and still don't have a return flight or travel insurance.
I feel like a little more organisation would have.
Probably helped.
Yeah, I'm a little bit burning about it because I feel like we have these discussions a bit, and I don't want to be telling you, but fuck, bro. You know what? It's gonna make your experience all the more interesting, to be honest. Like Mongolia,
Yes, Mum.
Yeah. Sorry. I couldn't do it like that, man. I'd have to be like, have it this much saved, this much spare saved. Like, you know what I mean?
The thing is, though, like with these sort of trips, everything changes.
Yeah, 100%.
You try and plan something, and like obviously there's the aspect you fail to plan, you plan to fail, but there's also the aspect that with a trip like this, you cannot be rigid.
No.
If you try and be rigid while you're trying to take a horse across Mongolia for 3 months with no idea about the country or where you're going, it's going to be a disaster. If you lock everything in and you try and set deadlines, those deadlines are going to get broken.
Yeah.
Someone's going to steal your horses, or they're going to run
Yeah.
off in the middle of the night. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to go all awry and all over the place, and I'm prepared for that to happen.
That's true. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, bro. We've been going for an hour. That was a good chat.
What a long podcast.
Yeah. No,
Talk your ear off, mate.
It's just it's a sweet spot, bro. That was good. That was very interesting, man. I can't wait to see the film.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, I actually want to ask one more question, bro. How are you going to be able to? You're going to be attached to that horse by the end of it. You just have to sell it and move on, and
so it really depends on which route I take. It's going to be a bit of a tricky one. If I go from east to west in Western Mongolia, if the horse sells for anything less than $200, it's likely to be used in the meat trade. Simply because they eat horses over there, and coming up to winter, the horse after 3 months of heavy travel will be quite thin. And in order to get its body weight back up, you can't just feed it grass. You need to feed it grain, which is expensive. So you either give the horse to a family for free, or you sell it back in Ulaanbaatar for a decent price.
How do you know the family's just not going to sell it to the
meat trade? And that's a risk that you take. So if I do the other side, which it's looking like I'm doing at the moment, then it will be a bit easier because we have a local contact there.
Yeah.
So she'll be arranging a horse trader that we can buy horses off of.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll buy horses off of them. She's just helping us out of goodwill, which is really, really nice for her.
Yeah, right.
She doesn't really gain financially from this trip. Like, we don't have her as a, she's not working as a guide or anything. She's just helping us out. But obviously there is benefits to that as well, in the sense that she gets to learn English, and she gets to,
that's so cool.
have a bunch of people around. And it's so lovely of her, and obviously we'll buy a lot of stuff through her, so she'll be able to support her own family business and
brilliant,
and support all her connections that sell horses and gear and all sort of stuff. So she'll benefit in that way.
Yeah.
So we might sell the horses back to her, which would be fantastic.
Yeah. Everyone wins. All right, so thanks for coming on, bro. If anyone's listening, I can't guarantee anyone is still listening at this point. It's a very new podcast, but if they are and you're in Mongolia, or you have advice, or somehow you can help Nick with Mongolia, I don't know, like, for instance, I'd give you another breakfast shirt, but I don't think you got room for that shit, bro. You know what I mean? Anyway, just get in contact. Your Facebook, what's your Instagram?
Yeah, if you want to follow along, jump on my Instagram. It's at Nickjamesfraser. So Nickjamesfraser.
No I.
No I.
That's
and
it.
just jump on that. Or I'm gonna try, and I don't know if I'll get organised in time, but I'm gonna try and start up a new little Facebook page as well, Life of Nick.
Yeah.
To try and post some of the larger galleries and things like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Good idea. All right. Well,
fantastic.
Thanks for coming, bro. Well done.
Appreciate it. See you soon.